Hey Kentucky, this is Matt Jones. We are here in Atlanta on our way to the Final Four, we hope. The Cats getting ready to play, and tonight we're going to talk about a preview of the game, some shoe company shenanigans, and the budget passed in Frankfurt. That's all here on Hey Kentucky tonight. You ready? Sorry, just go. Welcome everybody to Hey Kentucky, sponsored by our good friends here at HKC Roofing and Isaacs & Isaacs, and this is Chris Tomlin holding it if you couldn't recognize his hat. We are here at Phillips Arena where just a little while ago Kentucky had their media press conference getting ready for the Sweet 16 tomorrow. Drew, are you excited? Another step towards the Final Four.
I'm very excited to be here in Catlanta. Meow. That's our new thing.
It's
very cool. You kind of get the vibes going when you go to these press conferences. It lets you know the games are almost here.
That's right, and the story here is, of course, Kentucky. They play Kansas State tomorrow at 9:45, and most of the media here is here for the Cats. They are the overwhelming favorite. John Calipari said earlier today he wanted to make sure that the players understood they still have to show up and play no matter what. Team got to practice today. Jared Vanderbilt worked out, but didn't actually do much of anything. Probably, in my opinion, won't play, although says he will try to. As we look for this matchup, Kansas State's big guy, Dean Wade, is probably going to play. He did a full practice. Our big guy, Jared Vanderbilt, probably will not play. Do you think either of them matter?
With what we know at this moment, it looks like Wade will play, Vanderbilt won't. And I think Wade matters a lot, but I think not having Vanderbilt isn't that big of a deal to Kentucky. They'll miss his energy and rebounding, but I don't know if it's the difference in a win or a loss.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I mean, they're playing so well without him. I mean, let's be real. They haven't had him in 5 games, and you could make a strong argument they've been the best 5 games of the season. The rest of the guys, though, what struck me today is just how calm and confident they are. I mean, you're going to see in the second segment with Alan Cutler some of their sound, but these dudes seem like they don't have a care in the world, and they're playing their biggest games of their career.
It's crazy for Cal's youngest team. They almost seem more comfortable than some in the past. We've seen teams get on this big stage and just look paranoid from the moment they touch down. This team looks ready to be here. It looks like they're ready to have fun.
It's a weird dynamic because when they started this run, they were by far the underdog. Nobody thought they were going to do anything. I think I saw only like 8% of the brackets on ESPN picked them to the Final Four. Now, all of a sudden, a few days later, they're the overwhelming favorite, but I don't think they've gotten too high or low. As far as the matchup with Kansas State, are you worried about Dean Wade or any of the guys on the team?
I mean, people are acting like he's Dwayne Wade the way they're talking about him before the game, but he'll impact the game, but not. I don't think it's as much as people are leading it up to be. You just got to worry about K-State's defense. Offensively, they're like 240th in the country. They're not going to put up a lot of points.
I'm not really worried. And John Calipari has used this media platform to do some commentary on things that were bothering him. Specifically, he on his radio show talked about the negative fans that have been on him throughout the season. Take a listen.
There's a group of people that think I should have 8 Kentucky players, and they will never change. It doesn't matter what we do. We could win 9 national championships in a row, and they're going to – where's Richie? They're going to be that, and the minute there's a raindrop, you know they're going to come out. But the rest of you, and that's like 99.8%, the rest of you were with these guys.
Now, I totally agree with John Calipari on this. We hear from a lot of these negative fans, but some people wondered if this was the time to bring it up when everybody's unified. You think Cal should have called out the negative Nancy's?
Oh, this is absolutely the time to bring it up. Back in February, when things weren't looking so great moving forward, people were piling on him. Now it's his time to stand up and say, see, told you so. Here we are, Sweet 16, got a good shot at the Final Four. Of course he needs to rub it in their face.
I think he certainly should. You know, the thing about this happens every year. We have had at least 3 seasons. This is the 3rd one. 2011 and 2014, where the team has struggled mightily during the regular season. And yet, the other 2 times they ended up in the Final Four, 2014 they ended up in the championship game. Whether they end up in the Final Four here or not, why don't people know not to give up on a Calipari team?
I think after this year, they can't do it going forward.
But that's what we said after 2014.
I also love Cal says, I don't listen to y'all after breaking down every type of fan and media member.
Yes.
I think he might be fibbing a little bit.
I love
that
he still brings up Richie Farmer. Like, there are still people.
There are, though. Have you been on Facebook?
Well, that's true. There are people. His point about Kentucky players, I think, is an interesting one, because we do still have fans who believe we need more guys from Kentucky on the team. I'd love to have them, but I don't think it means as much as that people
We
act
need
like.
better Kentucky prospects, and then Cal will go get them. But there's no sense of putting a guy on the team just because he's from down the road.
You're not going to find many situations like Dominique Hawkins,
No.
who's a dude who could play here, was willing to wait until the end of his senior year to be recruited. It just doesn't happen a lot. Now, with college basketball going on in the NCAA tournament, a lot of people have been talking about the FBI scandal, but an interesting report out of Oregon is worth watching. The Oregonian did a story about the effect shoe companies have on recruiting, and as part of it, suggested that Marvin Bagley, who went to Duke, and his family may have benefited from some of the interaction with shoe companies. It talked about how the Bagley family went bankrupt, but then somehow were fine and were able to move across the country, and the implication was that the shoe companies had something to do with it. Now, the Bagley decision in and of itself will be an interesting one. It'll play out. I'm sure people are going to investigate it. But overall, the premise of the article, which is that shoe companies get involved with these kids early and spend a lot of money on them, it's not wrong.
No, they use the words common knowledge. I kind of agree with them. We've been to these events, these Peach Jams, and the Nike, the Adidas, Under Armour, their hand is just on everything. Mm-hmm. And these guys get programs. Zion Williamson, for example, they made up a program and made his dad the coach. I mean, it didn't exist before that. So, yes. I mean, even there's got to be a little bit.
And the focus is always, I think, incorrectly on the fact of what college they'll go to. This is not, I think, for these shoe companies about the college. This is about when they go to the pros, signing them to shoe deals. And I think one of the reasons the FBI got involved in all of this to begin with is there was this notion, I don't know if 12, 13, 14-year-olds should have shoe companies coming in and controlling their lives.
No, and using Nike's example, they'd love for these players to go to a Nike school, but if they don't, that's fine. They want that big contract when they leave for the NBA, try to lock them up for a lifetime.
In college basketball, we focus only on where they go to college. But I think this is a much bigger issue than where they go to college. Now, as far as the Marvin Bagley thing, it'll be interesting to see. If Duke makes the Final Four, which I think they will, I think this story will pick up some steam once the national media looks into it.
Yeah, the details on that were crazy. He said his family had a combined income of $44,000 and a couple of years later had $1 million home.
It is. You
do
there. Wonder about it.
I'm crunching numbers in my mind on that one.
Now, back in Frankfurt, they are crunching numbers. I like that transition
nice.
At the Senate as they try to get a budget bill passed. The Senate did exactly the opposite of the House. They actually included the same budget cuts in the House, but did not include the increased revenue that the House did over the cigarette tax and the opioid tax. The Senate says they're not going to increase any revenue, and there could be a stalemate. Now, Matt Bevin has said over and over, no increased revenue, no increased revenue. The only responsible thing for the Kentucky to do is to increase revenue. But is the Senate and Damon Thayer and Stivers going to be so sort of stubborn that it doesn't happen?
It's looking that way. There were quite a bit of discrepancies in the House and the Senate there, and I thought the cigarette and the opioid tax was going to pass. I kind of thought we all were in agreement that wasn't a bad idea, and it looked like they threw that out.
I have no idea why the cigarette tax is a bad. I mean, we were in a hotel room last night, which was a smoking hotel room, and it's disgusting.
I'm going to throw up thinking about it.
The cigarette tax is the perfect thing because I will say this, the reason our health care costs so much in Kentucky, cigarettes. It's the #1 cause of health problems. The cigarette tax should be a no-brainer. I hope the Kentucky Senate changes its mind. Now, when we come back, I'm going to send it to our good friend Alan Cutler. He's back in studio, and he's going to wrap up all the sound we heard. Hear from Calipari, Shea Alexander, Hamidou Diallo, and Kevin Knox. It was a big day in Atlanta. Catch up on all of it next here on Hey Kentucky.